What's up, y'all? YouTube and Facebook, we are live. Let me get over here so I can remember what the topics were. Give me just a second. And let me close this down. So give me a second while everybody's joining in. Let me know if you can't hear me. And again, I will promise to pay attention to the comments. Bully Brad Kennels, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining in. Let me go ahead and close this out. Unpin, bink, unpin, bam, and unpin. Boom. So everybody join in. It looks like today's topics are what's a tool? Should extreme mean extreme flaws and issues? Are breeders using these dogs as shortcuts? What about the lifespan and the life that tool is living? Second topic was the Cinco de Mayo show this past weekend, which was great. Had a good time there. Third topic, the Facebook community versus the actual dog community. Fourth topic, best leads, collars, and harnesses for XL bullies. Fifth top, what am I on? Four, five. Fifth topic, how to break up a dog fight. I keep getting asked this question, and then all of a sudden, for some reason today, uh, quite a few people hit me up. So I don't know if what's going on, but for whatever reasons today, all of a sudden, I got popular. Let's see here. And best leads, collars, and harness was from Sam Quigley. The next topic came from Crow Guevara. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing your name correct. Why do people think breeding towards the market desires makes you a greedy breeder? And then the last topic from Ryan Sterling was proper can't speak right now. Proper socialization tips. So Ryan's topic was proper socialization tips. So we are going to get into these topics right now. Let me open this up because I want to try to make sure I can see everybody's comments and make sure I'm responding accordingly. And we're going to pin this one to the top, mark it as an announcement, and then go to announcements. I have to talk myself through all this stuff because otherwise I forget what I'm doing. But while everybody's coming in, I'm going to get this set, and then we are going to get started. And let's see here. Okay, for some reason, the live didn't drop to my page. Or did it? Oh, it did, but it's not showing up on my page as of yet. So hold on, give me just a second and we'll get going. This is the one in the group, right? Nope. This is the one on my page. Okay, so now we need one for the group. All right, so, but join in and we are going to get started in just a second. Why can't I expand this? There we go. All right. And then now for the group, Giant American Bully Breed Group. What's up, y'all? Also, those watching from YouTube, thanks for joining in. I will make sure to try to stay on top of your comments and questions. Now, why won't this one? There we go. Bam. And is it showing me the comments? There we go. All right, Sam Quigley said, coming through loud and clear. Thank you for joining in, brother. And Jose Camarillos, Dog Talk Tuesdays. Yes, it is. So let's get into it. So again, the topics were, let me see here, okay, what's a tool? And the life that tools live compared to previous tools and tools today. The Cinco show and how that went here in Cali. Facebook dog community versus the real dog community. And best leads, collars, and harnesses for XLs. How to break up a dog fight. For some reason, I got a lot of questions. Been getting that questioned a lot, but it never ended up in the topic, so I never really touched on it. And then today, for some reason, a lot of people hit me in my inbox about it. So we're going to go ahead and talk on that. And then breeding towards the market, is it greedy? And then the last was socialization tips. So we're going to start with socialization tips. When it comes to socialization, socialization is 100% not about teaching your dog to get along with other dogs, teaching it to be friendly. And the socialization, a lot of people I work with, the first thing that I work with them on is socialization is about teaching your dog to ignore things, pay attention to you. That's the main thing about socialization. You have to have the respect of your dog so that your dog listens to you. Dion Peebles, thanks for joining in. Let's see here. So, how was I early to be late? What's up, Bully Brad Kennels? Betsy, thanks for joining in. Matt Tulberg, thanks for joining in. He's got a beautiful boy. But let's go ahead and get into it. So, socialization. Again, socialization is about you teaching your dog to ignore things, not about getting involved with those things. When I work with people in training their dogs, I'm not a big fan of obedience training. Not that it's bad, it's just boring to me, and I'm not into the handshake and sit. I want a dog to stay. Other than that, I want a dog just to feel my vibe and do what it is that I do. My house dogs, the dogs around my house, I don't train them at all, but yet they still listen to everything that we say. So when I'm dealing with a client, then of course I will put more into that. But again, and to give you an example, one of the things that I do with socialization, and I'm working with someone, is first place we had, get your collar, get your leash, let's go to PetSmart. And we get to PetSmart, and again, one thing, socialization has to take place early. When your dog's got all his shots, you know he's ready to be out in the public, you start socializing them right then. Socializing doesn't mean your dog is socialized because it plays well with other dogs. Socializing means that your dog is a companion breed. Okay, I take that back. It's a purpose-driven companion species, not a companion. All dogs are a companion breed. All breeds are companion. So socialization, you're teaching your dog to pay attention to you and ignore other things. I love PetSmart because there's always dogs in there and it's made in aisles. So one thing I teach people to do is we walk on the outside of the aisles. And if their dog notices another dog in the aisle, then we convince that dog, we keep moving forward. Eventually that dog learns to just ignore them because all we're doing is zigzagging through. Doesn't matter how many dogs I see, we're just zigzagging through, and it learns to ignore them. Once you can walk on the outside of the aisles, now if you see a dog coming towards you, then we'll cut in on an aisle that doesn't have a dog. And what you're doing is teaching the dog to ignore. Stay focused on you. First thing you want to do, if you see the dog look that way, bam, just yank the leash. Try not to use words unless you're using them to get the dog to look at you. Try not to say no. You want dogs to not operate or wait on commands to do what it is you want them to do. You want them to do it because it's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what your leash is for. So everything is about the other end of the leash, which is the end that you are holding, not about that end of the leash where the dog is. You're the one that starts everything. So the minute you give that dog a little yank because he's looking the wrong direction or he's focused on another dog, always be in motion, give him a yank and keep on going. Eventually your dog is going to stop looking down the aisles at other dogs. When you get to the point where your dog is doing that, also pay attention to your dog. From looking down at a dog, what do we see? We see ears. If ears are up, then he's not focused on you. So what we do is we get to the point where that dog is out of sight, usually at the end of an aisle, and by the actual, I guess you would call it the whatever the thing is that's holding all the merchandise. That way it can't see down either aisle, the one in front or the one that it just passed, and we stop and we wait for him to calm down. If he's pulling anything like that, we don't move. Try not to use words. Just wait for him to calm down. The minute he calms down, you begin walking again. Zigzag the aisles. Not in the aisles, but the outside of the aisles. The main aisle. So like at our PetSmart, there's a bunch of aisles. There's one main aisle going through the middle, and then there's two side aisles. You want to just zigzag through those side aisles, the middle aisle, the next side aisle over by the fish department, past the cats. Use those cats to your advantage also. Get your dog to stop focusing on them. When you can make your way through the outside of the aisles in the middle without your dog looking down towards other dogs, then that's when you want to go ahead and start making your way through the aisles. That eventually all you're going to do is walk past those dogs. If your dog is pulling, you yank them. You might have to use a command at that point, no. So your dog should get familiar with the word no while it's at home from various things that it's getting into and that you don't want it to do. So use PetSmart. It's a great way to socialize your dog. Now, I didn't know whether the question was related to dogs or people, so I'm going to go ahead and cover both. But that's one of the best ways. When you got your dog to the point where it can ignore other dogs, that's when it's time to start and walk past other dogs. That's when it's time to go ahead. And you can also use treats. I'm not a big fan of treats, but you can always use treats. With treats, the best thing to do with them is use them for a distraction. Don't use them for a reward. Use them for a distraction. And do 3 to 5 and then eventually stop using them. The dog needs to just be off of your vibe. Let's see if I got any comments. Now, we're talking about socialization. Sorry, we're having trouble. Okay, so one of these stopped playing for some reason, and I'm not sure which one. Yeah, because a bunch of you just got cut out. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. It says that it will be coming back. But if you, let me see if I can reset that and what happens. If you are, if the question was regarding people, then that's a whole nother subject. With people, you got guests, you got visitors. One, get your dog used to having the leash and the collar put on without going for a walk. That way, when your guests or your visitors come over, you can use that leash to your advantage. So, for instance, if you got a dog that likes to jump on people, person's coming to the house, dog's getting ready to jump up, step on that leash, and he won't be able to jump up. Okay. And you might want to use your commands with people to let the dog know, you're not doing that. Make sure your dog learns to stay back from the door so that your guests can come in, and also talk to your guests. Let them know when you come in, ignore the dog, ignore him. I'll let you know when it's okay to go ahead and pay him attention. That is the best way. Again, though, a lot of this starts early. You want to start right when I would definitely start by 4 months. By the time you hit 8 months, if you haven't worked on socialization, then a lot of times you're getting there a little late, and it's going to make it a lot more difficult. So again, I wasn't sure if that question was regarding people or whether it was regarding dogs, but those are some tips to kind of help you out with that. But just focus on the fact that socialization is about ignoring, not about getting involved and jumping in the middle of things. And just the dog happen to not bite anybody or get into a fight. That's not what socialization is about for dogs. Now, I'm going to be trying to keep the lives down to an hour. One of the reasons is because the majority of the people tend to watch the lives afterwards. And when they see an hour and a half, and y'all know me, I can go on for 2.5 hours, but when they see that, they get intimidated and then they never watch it. So I'm going to try to keep the lives down to an hour on the Tuesday Dog Talks. If there's something I missed or something you didn't understand, I'm always going to try to catch the comments. But also, you can always put it as a topic for the next Tuesday's live, whatever your specific question is. And most of you can always inbox me. The only thing with inboxing me, I will get to you, but it is going to take me a while. I try to make sure I answer at least 10 questions a day. If I get to 20, I tell myself stop, because that means I'm putting in too much time and I got other things to do. I try to do at least 10 questions a day. So it might take me a while, but I'll probably get to your question before next Tuesday's live. If I don't, throw it in next Tuesday's live, and then we'll make sure we cover it. Also, upcoming lives, Danny Cervantes will be live tomorrow. I know this weekend was a big weekend in Cali, and I think another show is in Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully he'll be going live tomorrow, and he'll be able to talk about the BRC show he was at. Then Friday, we will get back into the promotion and marketing series. I think with Andre Smith and Robert McCormick, I think we're going to be touching on websites. We're going to go into not too much detail of that because they got a lot of secrets when it comes to websites. But so they already let me know that. But we're going to talk about the basics and getting your website out there, basic structure of it, etc. We've already covered what Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, pictures with your phone and pictures with a camera. Which ones were the best to use? Let me turn that off. And let's see. So make sure you pay attention to stay tuned for that. And then again, I did get a lot of people hit me up because I let it be known every 6 to 12 months in the Giant XL American Bully Group, we're going to get more critical about the dogs posted. It's going to be simple. Okay. Very few dogs will be eliminated, but every 6 to 12 months, we're going to step it up a little bit. You know, extreme flaws, we're getting ready to start that one soon. So, you know, be prepared for that with the dogs that you think about posting. And then again, always follow us on IG at Thrower Bullies and follow us on YouTube at Thrower Bullies on YouTube. So that was socialization. The next, breeding towards the market. Is it greedy? I have mixed feelings on that. And that is due to the fact, so everything is, of course, well, in this subject, everything, of course, is my opinion. But when it comes to breeding towards the market, you need to know what your market is. Is your market internet-based, or is your market your neighborhood, you know, your community, your family members, friends, people you work with, you know, word of mouth from your family, friends, and people you work with. You know, for myself and my cousin, it was our community, family, friends, people we work with. Most of you know, we are on Facebook and Instagram and all that, all of our dogs have been sold to people through word of mouth, because when we got into bullies, we already had people wanting dogs from us, regardless of what breed we got into, as long as they knew we were going to be producing a guardian type breed. And even though bullies aren't looked at it that way, are the dogs that we're producing, though they are great companions, great with kids. You guys have seen my dogs around kids. But they are still very protective of their home and their family. And that is what we are, and that is what we want to produce. That is what we will produce. Little things we need to fine tune. But other than that, we are definitely have hit our goal. It's just about fine tuning things at that goal. But you need to know, you know, your community and who it is and what it is that you're going after. If your community is around you, it gives you more freedom to do what you want. But here's the thing. If your community is internet-based, then, of course, you've got Instagram, which they don't know the difference. As long as you got a bunch of Instagram followers, they don't know the difference. A lot of Facebook people don't know the difference, but they do see dogs getting critiqued. A lot of bashing that goes on. And let's see here. Hold on just a sec. Jose says, is it better using a collar or a harness when training? I prefer a collar. Crow said, and can you breed for the market and your own vision? Yes, depending on how far your vision is going and also how far the market is going. You got to look. The market, for instance, turned into Merle. Black and tan, not black and tan. What do you guys call it? Try. You know what I mean? All these various, the market goes for colors. It goes for various things. If you're in the show ring, then your market is different. It's all about the written standard. If you're outside of the show ring, it's a new breed. So respect the written standard, but make sure you're breeding to the breed type of the dog, regardless of what your vision may happen to be. Let's see. Dion said, whoop, 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 hold on. Googling overcharge. Haha. I get what you're saying. So that's the thing when it comes to the market. What is your market? You need to be able to know that. What's going to be the market that's easiest for you to grow? You need to be able to know that. But again, it's a new breed. And it's a breed that is extremely dominated by show ring people. And the creators were show ring people. So you've got to respect that. Even if you want your dog out catching hogs, you still have to respect that with what you do with your dog. And always respect the breed type of the dog. The breed type and the written standard are two different things. The written standard is based off the breed type. The breed type is not based off the written standard. But you need to respect that. So when it comes to, let's see, harness promotes, collar always. Exactly, Betsy. I agree 100%. Because the harness does cause a lot of dogs to pull. But when it comes to, the market, I think the reason people look down on it, because you're chasing fads, and you don't want to be chasing fads. If you can, it's like with us. We know our first most important thing with us was temperament. That's what we're breeding for. That's number one. That comes first. The rest kind of falls in place after that. What happens with a lot of breeders is they jump in breeding Merles, box themselves in a corner. They don't know where to go after that. They jump in. If you jump in looking to breed for breed type, or even the written standard, using the written standard as a guide, you're breeding for breed type, but the fad or the market tends to want Merle, then you can go out to that Merle. You see what I'm saying? Because your foundation is the breed type of the dog. If they want purple dogs, you can go out to those purple dogs, because your foundation is based off of breed type and well-bred dogs, temperament, structure, health. So that's the thing. I think you have to play a balance, because nobody wants to breed the perfect dog, and then all of a sudden you're stuck with a bunch of perfect dogs, but nobody wants what you got. So if you focus on temperament, structure, and health, a lot of health is going to come with structure. So you first focus on those two things, temperament and then structure. You're going to knock a lot of things out the park and not have to worry about them. If you can get that locked in, then you can go ahead and let me check and make sure I'm not missing any comments. My YouTube people, my bad. And it looks like today it is showing the Facebook comments. So my YouTube people, I'm keeping up with you. I got you guys. But make sure that you look at the American Bully. What it is you like about the dogs. Go to the breeding XLs, go to the Grand Champions, eyeball those. What do you like and not like about each one? Which one's closest to what you would consider perfect? What is your vision based off of that? Now start studying the written standard. Once you're studying the written standard, you're going to decide what it is. There are parts of the written standard that we don't have no use for. You know what I'm saying? When they look for it, and it also depends on which written standard you're talking about. ABKC written standard for temperament is different from UKC written standard for temperament. I also see the dogs getting shorter, squattier, stockier. I don't have no use for that. Now, that's cool. I want a dog that could catch a man. If I have a dog that as big as King is, King will catch you. I don't have a use for a dog that can't catch a man. I want you to be able to, and I'm not going to open my gate and sick them on somebody, but if you're one end of the yard, I want my dog to be able to catch you before you get to the other end of the yard. And I want a dog that is structured and bred that way. So I don't have a use for the direction I see some of the dogs going. But you want to think about that in your breedings. Once you've got that down, then you want to look at the market. So don't focus on the market yet. Focus on, if you're just getting started, for the new breeders that's out there, focus on breeding the best XL American Bully you can. When you have it mapped out, 3-5 generations, you've got 1 to 2 generations knocked out, and things are coming along the way, then you can start experimenting with what you see the market wanting. But again, be careful with that. It has to be a balance. And the best way to play that balance is to lock in what it is you need first. By locking it in, you're either going to breed dogs of extremely light traits, or you're going to do some line breeding, some inbreeding to lock it in, so that therefore you can breed to other dogs that may not be of that have that color that the market wants, or whatever it is that the market is looking for. So again, this is a new breed. Respect the breed type, respect the written standard, respect the breed type by sticking to that, respect the written standard by just respecting it. You see what I'm saying? The rest is kind of up to you. If you're not aiming at the show ring, then the written standard is not for you, but you still need to know it so that you can maintain breed type regardless of what you're doing. Some people argue with me on that, but when it's all said and done, breed type is what lets us know a 10-foot Chihuahua is coming down the street. If the police get there because you called them, like the same example I gave a couple weeks ago, if the police get there because you called them and they see 10-foot German Shepherd, they're going to know now that it's 2 because they got to call about a 10-foot Chihuahua. It is breed type that lets you know the difference between dogs, regardless of what size, how big, how small they are. You cut off all 4 legs on it. Don't cut them off. If you have a Chihuahua that's born with no legs, people know that it's not a worm. It's a Chihuahua. It's not a German Shepherd. It's a Chihuahua. It just has no legs. You get what I'm saying? They know it because of breed type. And that's what the breed type is there for. So hopefully I kind of covered that for you. But again, know your market. And again, also realize that the internet opens things up to the world. So therefore, we have a lot of people involved. One of the reasons we're getting more critical with or plan to get eventually more critical with the dogs in the group is we have seen some terrible dogs get posted. And still people are, oh, he's lovely, because they just don't know any better. The internet opens up brand new breeds to people that don't know the difference. They see a dog, they think it's cool, and that's great, and that's all that has to be worried about. Most people are emotional. When it comes to dogs, you can't be emotional. So know that if you're chasing the fads on the internet, some of those fads are going to go the wrong direction, and you don't want to be that. So it's a balance. You know what I mean? If the fad is color, go for it, but make sure your dog structure, his temperament are sound, and health are sound. If the fad is fat, that's not something you want to go for. Just like if it's a color you don't like, that's not something you want to go for. A lot of these dogs are getting extremely fat. I noticed that at Cinco de Mayo this weekend. People are trying to, get these heavy, big dogs, and they're just fat. You know what I mean? And these are bullies. So, if they have a little bit of fat on them, that's cool, but you should still be exercising your dog. And that shouldn't be your goal. With a lot of people, it is their goal. Next topic. Here we go. How to break up a dog fight. For whatever reasons, I've gotten that a lot. For some reason, it's never been brought up as a topic. I have been. Then all of a sudden today, for some reason, I got hit up by a lot of people regarding breaking up dog fights. So we're gonna go ahead and we are going to get into that topic. So I stay focused and don't say anything I shouldn't say. I'm going to avoid the comments just for a quick second. That's another thing. I got 2 people that have been taking clips from my lives and reposting them, but taking them out of context. So my first response to that was, 1, they were totally wrong and don't know what they're talking about in the argument that they're trying to have. But 2, I'm not going to watch what I say. I'm not going to do that. That was the first thing I was like, if people are going to do that, I need to watch what I say. When I used to be into music, one of the things A&Rs and PR people used to tell us was, if you get asked a question, you give 3 responses, and then that's that. You move on. So that way you're watching what you say. When I first got on, started doing lives, a lot of people were telling me, you need to do lives, you need to do lives. I didn't want to do them. So when I got on, I started doing lives, and I was watching what I said, and I hated it. I don't want to watch what I say anymore. So I'm just going to speak, but I'm going to try to stay a little focused so I don't say nothing crazy that gets taken out of context. Dog fights, how to break up a dog fight. Let's get into it. First thing is prevention. And like I've told people before, prevention and preparation. So the first thing is prevention. 1, you know your dog. If your dog is dog aggressive, then you need to give other people respect for their dogs not being dog aggressive. I have a cat dog here. He's 3/4 old family red nose, 1/4 boxer, and he's extremely just animal aggressive. It don't matter what it is, bear, horse, hog, dog. One of the problems with him in hog catching is he turns it into a fight rather than just holding on to it. But he's extremely dog aggressive. So therefore, I'm not that dude that's going to come walking down the sidewalk with him and everybody's got to clear the sidewalk. When I see somebody coming, we clear the sidewalk. We go across the street automatically. I'm going to let those people have their space because their dog is not like that. That's the first thing, is preparation, knowing your dog. Second thing, if you see a dog coming and it's extremely alert and tense, give that dog its space. If you're not there to meet dogs, then give dogs their space. So your dog has its space, their dog has its space. They might be an idiot. Just give people their space. I cross the street as soon as I see people. That way they don't have nothing to worry about, because I know Floyd is crazy. Now with Cardi Bull, we get a little closer and then we go out in the street because they're still intimidated because she's so damn big. Same thing with King. King loves dogs. But when walking King, we still give people their space. We go around because we know they're intimidated. We don't need him getting into it with a Yorkie. You know what I'm saying? So give those people their space based off your dog's level of aggression or your dog's level of intimidation. That's prevention. Next thing, kind of like we were talking about socializing. That's another way of prevention. Start early with your dog. Now, we're going to get into a little part. Some people may disagree with what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's the truth and it's facts. Prevention is part of preventing dog fights. The next part is preparation for when dog fights do take place. You need to be exercising your dog daily. You should be conditioning your dog 2 to 3 days a week. By conditioning, I mean taking that dog to a point to where it drools. If you start to see clear drool is good. It's cooling off the outside of the dog. Dog pants to cool off the inside. It drools. Clear drool to cool off the outside. When you see foamy drool, that means the dog's starting to overheat, and that's something you want. That's when you want to stop. When I used to condition dogs, those were the rules I went by. So again, keep your dog in shape so that while you're trying to figure out how to break up the fight and giving your bearings about you, your dog can handle his business until the fight is broken up. The next thing, roughhouse with your dog. A lot of us, you see a lot of people, we roughhouse with our dog, slapping them on the head. What are you doing? You're teaching your dog to avoid getting hit and stuck in the head. Now, your hands, it may take that hit so that it can get in at you, but it knows to avoid another dog fight. And at least its eyes are prepared for things coming towards its side. Most dogs try to hit at an angle. It's a slight angle that the average person doesn't notice if they're not paying attention. So we roughhouse with your dog. When you're roughhousing with your dog, do the same thing that you do, but also teach your dog to protect its neck, chest, and its legs. When it comes to the neck, when you're roughhousing with your dog, reach in there, grab them. Your hands are another dog's mouth. Reach in there, grab them, get them used to it. When you are, same thing with the chest, get them at the chest, bottom of the chest, top of the chest, get in there when you roughhousing with them. It's your dog, so get in there and get physical with them, like a wrestling match. Get in there with them. Same thing with the legs. A lot of pit bulls go for the legs. If your neighbor's pit bull and gets loose and he's coming for your dog, you want your dog to know how to defend his legs. So when you're roughhousing with your dog, grab its legs. And all you're doing is grabbing and releasing, grabbing and releasing, grabbing and releasing. Eventually, because it's play, like when we discuss play drive, you're going to notice that there's a rhythm to your mode of play. And as you and your dog get more in tune with that rhythm, you want to start reaching in there and getting in there, chest, legs, neck, and just keep on going. Head, bah, neck, chest, neck. Just keep on going. When you start grabbing that leg and releasing it, your dog is going to not only learn to tuck its leg, it's also going to learn that it can reach and grab what's coming towards that leg. Well, that's the same thing it's going to have to do if your dog, I don't care what it is, Labrador, German Shepherd, whatever it is, if your neighbor's pit bull goes for your dog and he's a leg fighter, then he's going to go for legs. Regardless of what breed of dog you have, condition it for it. Next way of conditioning is the spring pole, or preparation for your dog being able to protect itself. So this is what I call doggy self-defense. Your spring pole. Get your dog on a spring pole. The spring pole is used, the flirt pole is used to simulate chasing small game or game. If you're doing it properly, game that's the same size as your dog. The spring pole is simulating your dog going after large game because the dog has to raise up to get control of it, try to bring it back down. It's going to build those muscles. If your dog builds the muscles on a spring pole for taking down large game, then guess what? It's going to be able to handle dogs that it gets into it with that are his size, smaller, or maybe even larger. The spring pole will prepare your dog for all that. So that is preparation, prevention, and preparation. But now all of a sudden, the fight takes place. Somebody's dog gets loose, or you're walking in PetSmart. You both are. This person gets a little too close to your dog, and now all of a sudden, the fight takes place. Bam, it's on. Okay, so here we go. First thing, breathe. Take a breath. If you've been doing those other two things I said, your dog is going to give you time to calm down. Focus on the other owner. If they don't give a shit, then you know you in this by yourself. If they're panicking and they're acting crazy, you might have to push them off. We had two huge, I don't know what kind of dogs they were, but my son was running. I had Floyd, I was on a bike. Luckily, Floyd was tired as hell. And two dogs ran and they jumped him. And he was handling his business to the point where one dog wouldn't jump in the fight anymore. And it was just him and the larger male going at it. And he started getting the best of that male. Then all of a sudden, this lady comes out in her overalls and she's rolling around on the ground trying to break up the fight. And she lifts her hands up to claw my dog because now Floyd's locked on him and she's getting ready to claw my dog. I grabbed her hand by the hand and told her, you need to back up and just control your dog. Always remember in a dog fight, it is about you protecting yourself and your dog. And you are sometimes going to have to protect yourself and your dog, not only from the dog, but the owner of that dog. People don't see their dogs in the wrong ever, and especially in the heat of the moment. So that protect yourself first, your dog second. Don't allow advantages, okay? If a dog is starting to get the best of your dog, you need to be don't start yanking your dog and putting your dog in a position to where it can't defend itself. You need to be throwing that other dog off balance so that your dog can protect itself, okay? You got to really think about that when it comes to your dog in the heat of the moment. But the first thing starts out with breathe. If you roughhousing with your dog, think about these things so that when you get in the heat of the moment, it'll click at some point that I need to breathe and I need to stay calm. When you breathing, my son does MMA. One of the first things that most fighters learn is that the more calm you stay, the more you see. Dogfights seem fast because you're panicking. When you calm down and you'll breathe, you'll realize how actually slow the dogfight is taking place and exactly what is going on. So again, protect yourself, protect your dog. Don't let any other dog ever get advantage of your dog because of the way you're trying to break up that dog fight. Pulling on your dog, grabbing your dog, putting it in positions to where it can't defend itself is the worst thing you can do, because the best way your dog can not take injuries and not get killed is by being able to defend itself. Also remember, there's basically two types of fights that take place, or two types of dogs that get into fights. You have dogs that bite repetitively, and you have dogs that, and when I say repetitively, it's just a bunch of yak, 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 yak. Then you also have dogs that actually lock on and they hold their lock. You want to think about that. If you're dealing with dogs that bite repetitively, your Dobermans, German Shepherds, all dogs with long snouts, be careful, because a lot of times they're repeat biting and they might bite you. Be aware of that other dog, okay? If you're roughhousing with your dog, conditioning your dog, you're in the heat of the moment with your dog in various situations, there's a slimmer chance of your dog turning to bite you. So think about that. I would much rather break up two pit bulls fighting than two German Shepherds fighting, because they're constantly releasing and rebiting, releasing and rebiting. So you need to really think about that. But we've gotten through that, and now what's the preparation for breaking up a dog fight? One, mace. Mace works great. Bear mace works extremely great in breaking up fights. Now, on the flip side, you're not stopping some dogs with mace, bear mace, anything like that. Another thing is a break stick, but know the laws in your county or state. Here in California, we are not allowed to have break sticks. And before we go any further, let me catch up on the comments real quick. Let's go back here on this page. I'm all about mashing down those. I'm not your dog. All right, Riley Rojas says, speaking on dog fights, if your dog has aggressive tendencies and you can't control them, bring them to a show. Oh, you can't control them, don't bring them to a show. I agree with that, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit too, because I also like the fact that there were dogs that were dog aggressive, but people were cool with it, which is what I'm used to, you know, from back in the 90s, Venice Beach. I don't do dog shows until this last one that I went. That was my first one. But I like the fact that the judges were They didn't hold that against the dogs, and I respect that. I like that. I don't have a problem with a dog that's dog aggressive. I have a problem with the owner that can't control a dog that is dog aggressive. Dion said, I got 4 strays in my alley. I'm all about mashing down those strays if they decide to act wrong with Rocky. Exactly. You know what I mean? Prepare your dog. Let's see here. Dion said, right, I remain proactive with our behavior and action. You have to. Let's see. How many, Gemini said, how many dogs do you walk at a time? I used to walk 4. Then I was walking 3. We just had to put Boogie down a few weeks ago. She was old, and so now I walk 2. And I'll do it by myself. But with Cardi Bull, if I see a dog approaching us, I pull her back closer to me. And even though Floyd is old and going on 14, Floyd can handle his business. I give him a little more slack if I see a dog approaching, but I try to avoid it. But if they come at us, they're going to get Floyd first and Cardi second. And think about that when you're walking multiple dogs. You're more aggressive or more dominant dog. If you have a dog coming at you, he needs to be in the front. You know what I'm saying? So he need bring your other dogs closer to you. Give him the slack. Give him the reach for that other dog. Because a lot of times that dominant or more dog aggressive dog of your pack that you're walking can cause that other dog to back down anyway. And then next thing you know, you don't have to worry about a fight. Betsy said Bailey takes Lincoln out by neck and legs. See, that's what I'm saying. And then therefore, because of it, Lincoln over time, especially through roughhouse, is going to learn to start tucking his legs and defending his legs. That you say your dog grab back legs, pull up, carry a breaking stick, and taser. Taser's another good method. Bet said to get them to let go. Lincoln and Bailey both lock on. Took 20 minutes to get them off. And that's why I say breathe. Be patient. It is going to take a while. Just like you're patient when you're breeding your dogs and you're waiting for them to untie, you're going to have to be patient when it comes to breaking up a dog fight. Your main thing is to, one, not let another dog, not do things to your dog that's giving that other dog advantages. And your other thing is to make sure that you're not getting hurt and constantly looking for that little gap in space to break that dog, to break up that fight. Let's see, get into some of these other comments, make sure I'm not missing anything. Is it better using a collar or harness for training? We hit that. I like collars better. Can you breathe for the Mario? Okay, we hit that one. Looks like we got all that. And I think I'm on tune with YouTube. Bully Bread Kennels said, my dog don't care for spring pull. How can I get them to want to? They only want to tug rope when I do it with them. Hook your rope up to the spring pole, but you hold the rope. And eventually start holding higher and higher. So when you're not holding the rope, you're holding the spring pole. And just take your time doing it. And then eventually, and when they get going, when they really get going with the tug, then pull back a little, reach back a little. When they get going with the tug, eventually you want to get off of the rope. And then eventually the dog's going at it and you just want to back up and away from it. Just one step at a time, maybe one step every 30 seconds. And then your dog's going to learn he can have fun by himself. So it's a gradual pace, but that's the best way. If they do like to play tug of war with you, tie that tug of war rope up to whatever's to the spring pole, and then just gradually but slowly but surely, get further and further off the rope to where you're on the part that's attached to the rope. And then next thing you know, let it go, grab it, let it go, grab it, let it go, don't grab it. They would start stepping away about every 30 seconds, and your dog will start working it on its own and learn that it's just as much fun. It looks like I might be able to monitor the comments from one area. I'm just getting nervous because people get mad at me when I miss their comments. So, but again, breathe, protect yourself, protect your dog. Pay attention to the types of dogs you're dealing with. Long snout, you're dealing with a bunch of bites. Watch out for yourself. Short muzzle, you're dealing with a dog that's going to want to lock on. And that's going to be a little easier to handle. What you want to do is prevent shaking. That's where the damage is done. There are dogs that have a crushing bite. Most dogs don't. That's something that you have to breathe for. Most dogs prefer to bite down and then start shaking. You want to get enough hold of your dog and the dogs to prevent shaking. If you have a break stick, that's the best thing. If you're by yourself and you have a break stick, get those leashes on. Again, the dog should be able to handle themselves. So you get collars, try to get that leash wrapped around the dog's neck Find something that you can take the dogs to, get that fight over there, attach them to whatever it is, that pole, beam, whatever it is, and then work on the dog with the brake stick. But always control the dominant dog first, the dog is winning the fight, while making sure that you're not putting your dog at a disadvantage of protecting itself. Another method that I've never done but have seen done is take the dog down by its feet. If you got two people and you can do that and you can instruct them, look, we're going to grab both these dogs by the tail. We're going to climb up the tail. And while I have control of the tail with one hand, you got control of your dog. We're both going to reach towards that front leg on the opposite side. Okay. Grab that front leg on the opposite side. The minute you grab it, grab that back leg on that same side, that same opposite side. Flip the dog. Use your weight. Pull the legs towards you. Use your weight. Flip the dog over. The other person at the same time can do that. A lot of times dogs will release. Some dogs will get caught off guard, release, snap out of it, and then try to reach back. So you always want to, the minute you see a release, you want to go towards pulling those dogs towards you. You're going to have the legs. A dog's legs can go in. What hurts a dog is when they go out. So you're pulling the dog's legs in to take it off balance. That's another method of breaking the dog fight up, or at least getting more control of it. Another method, the wheelbarrow method. I don't know why that's getting so popular lately. That shit don't work. If you're dealing with a German Shepherd, something like that, and you grab his back legs, a pit bull can care less. German Shepherd might whip back and bite you. So the wheelbarrow method, I got my dog's back legs up in the air. You got your dog's back legs up in the air. A lot of times that does not work. I guess you can try it, but if you're going to try that first. But most dogs that I know of, that method is not going to work. Now, the wheelbarrow method can work if the dogs are tired from fighting. They're extremely tired from the fight. You can use the wheelbarrow method, and sometimes it will work. But again, always make sure that you are controlling the dog that is winning. Barriers. If you've got fold-up chairs, fold-up tables, anything that you can use, start trying to get that in between the dogs, especially dogs that repeat bite. Start trying to get that in between those dogs. Sometimes the barrier also helps as a distraction to cause those dogs to let go. Water. I've seen water work. I've seen water not work. Floyd has been on animals in the woods and damn near underwater, and he's still not going to let go. So splash, and Floyd hates water. As soon as I go to give him a bath, he takes off to the other end of the yard. But he's not letting go due to water in a fight. That's a whole different thing for him. So water can sometimes work, especially if you've got a water hose, bucket of water. But if water is not readily available, it's going to make it difficult. A taser is another great way to break up a dog fight. Your regular tasers, bam, you zap the dog. If your dog is the aggressor, yes, you need to zap your dog. I'm not going to say that because I don't believe I would do that. So I'm going to take that back. What I will say is, if you're going to end up having to zap both of them, you know what I mean? If you choose to zap the other dog first, and maybe that shocks your dog too, or causes him to stop, cool. But if he don't stop, you're going to need to shock your dog also. But a taser definitely helps break up dog fights. My favorite method for breaking up a dog fight is to choke them with their collar. If you have a harness, you can do the same thing. And all that is you grab the dog, bring the collar up as close on the neck as possible, and twist. If you got two people, tell them to do that with the other dog. And you just twist that harness. If you've got a belt, take that belt off, put it around the dog's neck, through your belt loop, and then make sure you're pulling the opposite direction of your belt loop. So if your belt loop is coming from this side, you want to be pulling this direction, so that the I guess you call it the brass piece that's holding the belt as it comes up, you're pulling it this way. Make sure that you're pulling the opposite way to choke the dog out. Again, you want it as high up on the dog's neck as possible. Do not injure your dog. Do not let anyone injure your dog in breaking up a dog fight. That is useless. You might as well have let them fight. So again, do not injure your dog. in a dog fight. And again, do not put your dog in a position to where it is at a disadvantage in a dog fight. Exactly on the spring pole, took a bit for Bailey. Yes. Now he'll hang all day. There it goes. So I think what's happened is I can see all the comments, but on the whatever this program is, I think they just come up a little late. So I'll keep trying to keep track of it through the comments in the Ezra. What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Rob, what's up, bro? Thanks for coming in. I didn't know you was in here. Let's see who else is in here. It looks like that one is getting caught. So, but again, tasers. What else did we say? The belt. I think best way to break up a dog fight is choking them out. Bring it up as high as you can, and then you're just gonna keep applying pressure. If two people are choking two dogs, regardless of how determined they are, eventually they're gonna let go. One dog is gonna quit due to the fight and due to you choking it, and that will assist in the other dog letting go. We've all seen fights where two dogs can go at it. One dog gets tired and he'll just let the other dog lock onto him, and he's sitting there panting. That's the mode you want to take them to. Again, my all-time favorite is the break stick, but they are illegal here in California, and I think a few other states. So that's what you want to pay attention to when it comes to breaking up dog fights. Again, first thing is protect yourself, breathe, stay one. No. Again is prevention. Next thing is preparation. Roughhouse with your dog. Have fun. Get them on that spring pole. Let them build the muscles that are used in a average dog fight. At the same time, when you're roughhousing with your dog, teach them to tuck their legs, teach them to guard their chests from dogs that go for the legs and go for the chest. That way, if you got a Labrador and that pit bull comes for your Labrador can do a decent job defending itself until you're able to get involved and break that dog fight up. After that, it's just about breathing. You got to calm down. You got to convince the other party that's there, the other dog owner, to calm down. Bunch of yelling, screaming does nothing but get more adrenaline pumping for those dogs. And then again, protect yourself first, your dog second, and don't put your dog in positions to where the other dog is able to take advantages during that fight. Another question for the topics was best leads, collars, and harnesses. I prefer collars. I have never to this day come across a dog that's had a neck injury due to a collar. I've heard of it happening. I've never had it happen with people that I deal with in training. I tell them use a collar, get rid of the harness. I do like a harness once I like my dogs to pull, but they all know when I say slow down, they slow down and they stop pulling. They walk closer to my side. And then I'll tell them, go ahead. And then they know they can go start pulling and getting hyper again. When my dogs have that down packed, then I'll go ahead and use a harness. Another reason I don't use a harness is because it just takes too long to put on. But the best leads, collars, and harnesses as far as leads, I like your regular, handle at the end, little link at the bottom that you pull the little button back and it clips onto the collar. That's my favorite thing to use. With these XLs, they're big dogs. So one, you want to use chain, but you also want to, or nylon, make sure the nylon is thick. With the chain, make sure the chain is thick. And that doesn't just mean the chain itself, it means all the pieces, especially most times it's not the chain that breaks, it's that piece that clips onto the dog's collar that breaks, or whatever piece is attached to the part that you're holding. So make sure all of that is thick. When that chain, and then check on your collars before you go for a walk. Your collars, your leashes, look at them. If that thing can't swivel, it's getting ready to break soon. If it can't swivel smoothly, if you can't spin it around, same thing at the top of the leash. If it can't move smoothly, it's getting ready to break soon. So replace it. Maintenance is key to a good dog. Strength and maintenance is key to your leads, your collars, your harnesses. You start noticing things getting weathered, stitching coming loose, things like that. It's time to get a new collar, time to get a new leash, time to get a new harness, whatever it is that you're dealing with. So pay attention to the maintenance of the tools that you have with your collar. Same thing with your spring pole. Same thing with your foot pole. Get up there and make sure it's all good. Let's see, make sure I'm not missing anything. So I don't know if you're asking me best leads, collars, and harnesses as far as what brands. I don't know the names of the brands. I've never paid attention to it, but PetSmart has great ones. Most places have great ones. You just want to make sure that it's thick and it's equivalent to the dog that you're walking. Uh, Another topic: Facebook dog community versus the real dog community. One of the reasons people have an issue with my attitude and the way I go about things, the way I go about them on Facebook and the lives and different things like that is, um, I'm not a social media dude. I've had Facebook for, I want to say 10, 15 years. But then I was off Facebook for about 5 years just because it doesn't serve a purpose for me. I have everybody's phone numbers that I need to talk to. And when my cousin and I decided to get into the bullies and we realized how much it was dominated by social media, so about 5 years ago, I created this page that you guys see me on now and started getting involved. But the Facebook dog community and the real dog community are two different things. And that's why I don't have a lot of, I give everybody respect until they put themselves in positions to not have that respect. And that's usually by disrespecting me. But Facebook dog community is not reality. This shit is all virtual. You can log off and then all of a sudden we all disappear. Your internet service go down and all of a sudden we all disappear. So this shit is all virtual. It's not real. Now, the real dog community is at the shows, the dog park, PetSmart, the beach. You know, that's real dog community. If you notice, when you go to PetSmart, nobody's in there breaking down your dog. Oh, your dog has weak pasterns. It's got a high rear. His head's too big. He's too fat. You need to put him on raw. That doesn't happen in the real dog community. The Facebook dog community is a bunch of people with a bunch of opinions and a bunch of personalities that are trying to make their personality something that stands out in the community for followers and friends. And some of these people are just insecure. They weren't shit in high school. They ain't cool at their job, and therefore they try to be cool or whatever on Facebook. Their own family members don't like them, so therefore they want people on Facebook, you know, to like them. So they're two separate worlds. Even being at the dog show, my first dog show was this weekend, and I had a great time. Way better time than I have, you know, dealing with people on Facebook. Facebook is very Chase Chapel, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Chase said, females in heat, you can touch on how you separate them, etc. Okay, I'll get into that. But wait a minute. When you say you're talking about dog fights, or you talking about because if they're breeding, don't separate them. It'll take anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 days, but eventually the male's penis will shrink and swelling, and you'll be able to pull them apart. What happens is the dogs in breeding, the male swells up inside and it locks in to keep him in place. And then when that swelling goes down, you'll be able to release them. If that's what you're talking about, I'm not too sure, but I think that's what you're talking about. So what you want to do is keep them still. Have two people ready to go when you do the breeding. When they lock, once they're locked in, then he stops stroking. Then one person hold him still, one person hold her still, and eventually it'll calm down and they'll release. But do not pull them apart. Don't squirt them with water hoses like our parents used to tell us to do. Because you'll injure your male at that point, and you can also injure the female. Yeah, had someone ask me how I separate them from the other males to relieve tension. As far as the tension between your dogs while a female is in heat, you just got to keep them separated. The tension's gonna be there because they know other males are there. But the tension's gonna be there. You just have to keep your males separated. When you know you got a female in heat, keep your males in one room, and the other male in another room, or in one crate and another crate, or one kennel and another kennel. Have yourself set up, and that's just part of breeding. Have yourself set up that you can, so that you can separate males when females are in heat. Because the other thing is, you don't want that male that you don't want breeding to her getting to her. So that's another issue. But again, don't get caught up so much in this Facebook community. Remember, there is another world out there. Danny, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining in. Kevin Torres, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. There's a whole nother world out there. For the show breeders, a lot of them that are at the top of the game, you don't see them getting caught up in Facebook drama. Some of the has-beens get caught up in Facebook drama, but nobody gets Fred Duran. You don't see Fred Duran getting caught up in Facebook drama. For the people whose dogs are selling, you don't see them getting caught up in Facebook drama. You want to respect Facebook for what it is. It's social. It's called social media. Use it to get your dogs out there, to get them seen. Use it to learn as much information as you can. Pick and choose who you get your information from. But the real dog world and the Facebook dog world are two different things. At the show this weekend, there were dogs that were dog aggressive. People loved them. There were dogs that were dog friendly. They're up licking and chilling with other dogs. People loved them. Nobody was hate on Facebook. If they see two dogs barking, they're growling at each other. Your dog's dog aggressive. You shouldn't breed it. In the real world, people don't think that way because they're used to dogs. So never get caught up in what you see going on in this community, because a lot of it is, like I say, is virtual. So pay attention. You know, don't let things that take place on Facebook discourage you from dealing with this breed or from going to dog shows. Because what you're gonna, and that's what I think a lot happens. I think the reason you don't have as many XLs at these dog shows is because so many people in the XL world are just negative, shit talking people. They can't wait to give their opinion on somebody's dog and talk trash about it and bash it. They can't wait to clown somebody for saying something that was incorrect, rather than just correct the person. It's not like that when you get to these dog shows. The dog show this weekend was all love. I think there was one issue that happened, an altercation. I think at the BRC show there was an altercation, but that was them. And guess what? These altercations, from what I understand, the one here in Cali and the one I think was in Massachusetts, guess where it started from? Facebook drama. You get what I'm saying? So when it comes to Facebook, you don't have to defend yourself against everybody. If a person disrespects you, okay, cool, bam, let me go ahead and block you and keep on moving. If you can handle the disrespect, leave them. Because guess what? 9 times out of 10, these people ain't going to be disrespectful when they see you in person, whether you are male or female. So just don't pay them attention. And the other thing is, half of us don't recognize each other when we get to these shows. So if you're not, I do live. So when I got to the show, people recognize me. But if you don't put a t-shirt on with everybody's profile pic, then nobody's really going to recognize you. So go to the shows. Don't be intimidated by the ignorance that you see online and not go to shows. Start participating at these shows, and I guarantee you will like these dogs more. You will like the community more, because you will realize that this Facebook stuff, people copying and pasting, and I had, like I said, people grabbing a live and trying to take it out of context, and they still don't get it, and they know it's out of context. But you know, it's that don't happen in the real world. You know what I'm saying? So don't get caught up into that. The other thing I would watch when you're doing on Facebook is watch who you talk to outside of Facebook, as far as through Messenger, phone conversations. You never know with these people. They're weirdos. You can be cool with somebody today and they turn on you tomorrow. Next thing you know, people record. I'm the type, I've never recorded a phone conversation in my life. Most people I get into it with, I don't click on their profile page to see what they look like and what their family looks like and what their dogs look like. I don't care. I'm focused on the topic that we're discussing. So a lot of these people ain't like that. They're going to look at your profile pics. If you had a conversation with them and you guys were cool, they recorded it. Be careful with the conversations that you have with people, especially if you happen to be talking about other people. All you should be discussing is dogs. But that's my thing with that as far as the Facebook community. Bully Bread Kendall said, "Where the best place to find out about shows?" Right now for the XLs, I'm trying, anytime I see a show going on, I try to grab that and post it into the group. We have in our guide section, which is an educational section where you can keep track of your progression of the things that you're learning in the Giant XL American Bully Breed group. Because I know you're watching from YouTube. If you join that group, there's a section in the guide section, which is XL Bully events, and all the upcoming shows are in there. I need to go back through it to delete the past shows. I try to do my best to keep up with it. Other than that, I don't really know that there's an actual location where you could just find out about all the shows and the registries. But I do try to keep up with it because I've got people who are exotic friends. I've got people that are XL friends. I'm in all kinds of groups from dogos to everything. So anything related to the XL American Bully, even if it's an exotic show, because I know some of us want to take our dogs to even the exotic shows because they allow them there. So I try to keep up with anything that's regarding exotics and American bullies. I try to make sure that they're posted in our group, and I try to make sure that I put them, when I post them in the group, that I put them in the event section. The best two ways to look for it is go to the Giant XL American Bully Breed group in Facebook, go to the guide section at the top of the group, click on that, and then scroll down. It's got a bunch of different educational topics, and then you'll get to one that says XL Bully events. Click on that, and you'll see a bunch of flyers for various different events that are coming up. If I happen to miss something, you can also go to, there's another hashtag section that Facebook created, and if you type in XL Bully, hashtag XL Bully event, all the events that are coming up that I tried to make sure to hashtag to that will come up. But I don't know of any one location that we can go to find out about events. So therefore, I try to keep up with them in the group. Let's see. So again, we talked about that, the personas, the personalities, and the critics. But again, the dog shows ain't like that. The only personality and critic that you have to deal with at the dog show is the judge. Other than that, the rest of the people are cool. So really, don't get intimidated by Facebook and not go to these dog shows. Let's see here. The Cinco show. The Cinco show, we took King, we took his son, 10-month-old son, Aziz. It was just me and my son that went out, and we had a great time. We came walking in. You're coming down walking from a hill, so you could see everybody and the dogs and the rings. We put King in one of the fun shows for Best XL. And he came down to him plus 3 others. The dog that won it, which is named Loyalty. I forget his kennel name. That's my bad to that guy. He's super cool. His dog is beautiful. Beautiful, all black XL. He's big. He's just a good looking dog. He took the whole thing. I got to meet Fred Duran's dog, Dooley, for the first time. I got to meet Fred Duran. I spoke on his dog before him. I got to meet Fred Duran for the first time. Great dog, great person. Just good people. Got to meet Brittany Burns for the first time. Got to meet a lot of people. A lot of people come up because they recognize me from doing the lives. For some reason, everybody was saying I'm taller than what they thought. I'm not tall, but for whatever reasons, people think I'm way shorter from these lives. Hush, boy, I'll feed you in a sec. But I had a great time. I had a real good time. It was a lot of dogs that showed up, a lot of people that showed up, a lot of people talking business, studs. We had a few people hit us up regarding studs. I just got back at them today. Sorry it took me so long for those who are watching. And like I said, you have dogs there that are dog aggressive. It remind me of old school Venice Beach where people just gave the dog space. But the people who are handling the dog are responsible. You have dogs there that are super friendly. I had a great time. Let's see. Someone said that's interesting. You should take a vid next time. You know what? I will definitely try to do that. I did take some vids and I did post them. So if you go to my page, you'll see them. I also posted them in the group. Let's see. And I forgot I could show your comments on the live. Dion said it's simple. The weak ones walk up to us slowly and shyly. Then they see a big one and this buddy creeping up and behind it. Exactly. So Dion's talking about the dogs. But that's the way it is. But when it comes to the actual show, like I said, I had a great time there. And I think we did get there late. So we missed the part where, they're measuring the dogs, the height, the weight, the head size. So we did miss that part. But I'm not like really concerned with that, but we did have a good time. What I will say is when you go to these shows, we end up helping out one guy. So he pulled over, his dog was overheating. And I kind of noticed because as we were driving by, you see the dog panting. So we made a U-turn. I had lemon juice, some alcohol with him. I think his dog was kind of getting over it. It was just more getting the foam out of his mouth. The lemon juice knocks that out. Prepare your dogs for these shows. Don't overfeed your XL because you want the biggest XL there. We didn't feed our dogs the night before. And we started slimming them down probably about 2 weeks before the show. King already had an advantage because he had a female that he lives with. So he didn't eat for like 2-3 days. And then from there, we just slim them down. Don't overfeed your dog. Get them to the show. It gets hot. Luckily, it was nice out there. I think it got to like 82 degrees. So it was nice. It's a lot of shade because people have, their setups, their booth setups. So you can find somebody that, and go to the front of their booth and just chill there for a little bit to give your dog time to get its breath. But make sure you're walking your dogs. Get them in shape for these shows. That way they look their best. It was a lot of dogs I was seeing. I don't know how much they weighed, but they were just overweight. You could tell the person overfed them so they could be as heavy as possible. And within 2-3 hours, their head is just hung. They're walking. You could tell they don't want to be walking. Get your dog in shape so that they look their best when you get there, and you don't have that overheating taking place with your dog. But like I said, we did pull over to help out one guy with his dog because his dog was overheating. Luckily, he did have a cooler. He knew to not throw the cold water from the cooler on because that would send the dog into shock. But he took a towel and he put that in the cooler. Then he laid that over the dog. And then by the time we pulled over to help him, it was just a matter of getting him some lemon juice, rubbed a little rubbing alcohol on his ears, his paws that we had in the car with us. Because I bring all that stuff just to get ready, but didn't need everything, because it looked like his dog was, coming to anyway. But he's fine. I did tell him make sure to take the dog to a vet. And the only reason I said that is because I didn't know how bad a shape he was beforehand. But he said he was going to do all that, and I think his dog did okay. And let's see, Bully Brad Kendall said, how long and how often do you walk your dogs? We walk our dogs daily. We condition them 2 to 3 days a week. So every other day is when we condition them. And we do, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we condition the dogs. So the dogs get walked, we bring them home, and then we condition them. Whether it's the flirt pole, the spring pole, or just intense game of fetch where I'm bouncing the ball off of trees, walls, and everything else I can to make them zigzag and do as much as possible. But so again, walk your dog daily. That's what dogs are built for. And then condition your dog, I would say at least 3 days a week, and all it is, exercise is when the dog is panting. Conditioning starts when the dog starts drooling. Everything needs to stop when you see that drool start turning into foam. And that doesn't matter if you're training for sport, whatever it is. But just remember that. The reason I feel all dogs should have conditioning periods, and one, don't condition unless you're exercising your dog daily. If you're not taking your dog for daily walks, occasional games of fetch, spring pole, flirt pole, things like that, don't push them until you start getting into those things. But remember, the minute you notice your dog's drool turning into foam, you want to stop because that means the dog is overheating and the drool is no longer cooling the dog off. You can do it through long walks, though. Same thing. If you get through a long walk and all of a sudden it's time to go back and you notice your dog's foam is coming out or dog's drool is coming out as foam, stop, find some shade, and just chill. Give your dog, the average dog takes about 5 to 8 minutes to recover. Give your dog 5 to 8 minutes to recover and then start heading back home. Get your dog out of this scenario. But pay attention to that. Watch their tongue. Yes, the further you see that tongue coming out, and that's the thing, the tongue turns white because the drool turns to foam. And that's what you're seeing is little bitty bubbles. They just looks like whiteness, but it's just little bitty bubbles that's on the dog's tongue. And what's happening is the dog is overheating. But before the dog's tongue gets that color, that white color, you'll start noticing the drool on the mouth on the side. When you see that foam drool, that means it's time to stop and it's time to give your dog a chance to recover. The more you exercise your dog, the more you condition your dog, the longer it's going to take for it to drool, the longer it's going to take for the drool to turn to foam, because your dog is getting into better and better shape. Betsy said, watch the tongue. Exactly. She said it curls also. Yes, it does. I don't know why it curls. I've heard various opinions and supposed to be facts of why it curls. That I'm not too sure of why it curls, but that is something that does happen as a dog. Some people have said that means it's getting extreme and the dog is almost like it's what would you say? Almost like a panic attack. How your person's hands kind of draw up when they have a panic attack, that the tongue is doing the same thing. The other part about exercise and conditioning is part of the reason dogs overheat, pass out, or die. Part of it is not just overheating, it's the mental aspect. They start to panic and we don't see it. Dogs don't run and scream like us when they panic. They just stand there and they continue panting harder and harder. If your dog's never been through a recovery phase after a long walk or after conditioning or whatever exercise that you're doing, then it doesn't understand that there is a recovery phase. So when that dog feels itself getting hotter and hotter, and he's panting harder and harder, and he's getting hotter and hotter, he panics because he doesn't know. You've never put him through that, so he doesn't know that there's an end to this, and that eventually he is going to cool down. We used to run our dogs in the desert, 105, 110 degrees. They were cool with it, and sometimes we will find them chilling off in the shade under a bush. You know what I mean? We're driving around looking for them. We end up finding them, but it was because they were cool and they knew to go find somewhere to cool down because they had been through it at home through our regiment. So pay attention to that. Mr. J, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Let's see. Betsy said something about slowing airflow, which causes fluid loss. Okay, I think I know what you're saying, because I think I've heard something similar. I just didn't really remembered enough to know how to word it. But again, that all starts when you're gotten a little too far into the overheating phase. So when you get your dog to these shows, you need to have a good time and your dog needs to have a good time. And the only way your dog is going to have a good time is if you're exercising that dog and not overfeeding it because you want to show out at a show with the heaviest dog there. Exactly. More panting, more fluid loss, because the air that is supposed to be cooling the dog down is now also drying up the fluids. And so that's something you got to pay attention to. But when you get your dog to these shows, pay attention to them. Don't get so caught up at I'm walking the biggest dog and I'm looking at all the big dogs that you haven't just taken the time to step away from your dog and look at your dog and see how he's doing, see how he or she is doing. And if your dog's tired, let him rest. But try to exercise and prepare your dogs for the show. One, I say skip that night's meal. So that when the dog's got somewhat of an empty stomach, one, that's going to cause, that's what predators do. The hungrier they are, the more energy they get. That's going to give them a little bit more energy. And then two, is going to prevent him from overheating as fast. It's going to make him a little lighter, prevent throwing up. Throwing up also can happen when the dog's overheating. And by the dog throwing up, that takes a lot of energy, causing more overheating. It also clogs the airways, causing it to not get as much air in to cool the dog's body off. So pay attention to your dogs when you're at these shows. It can be a distraction because, like I said, it was a lot of beautiful dogs. I think as far as ratio or percentage, it was more good-looking dogs at the show than what you actually see on Facebook. Exactly. Mr. J said nerves make a difference. If they are too excited, they won't cool down. Exactly. And that's why you got to get them somewhere to cool them off. If, let's say, you're at a show, you're in the middle of an aisle, there's a million dogs passing by, get them off to the side. You know what I'm saying? But also be prepared. One, by preparing your dog through exercise and not feeding it the day before the show. And the second way, bring that lemon juice, bring that alcohol, bring that ice, bring that water. Do not put ice water on your dog directly. You can put a towel on that dog and then wring it out and then put it on that dog, and it will help him cool off. The lemon juice helps break up the suds and the bubbles inside the dog's mouth so that it can get more air in there. The alcohol, the rubbing alcohol on the feet. Now you can take ice and use also. I don't deal with ice, but you can use a cool cloth. The butthole, the balls, the feet pads, and also the ear area are great places to cool off to prevent your dog from overheating. But again, a lot of it is panic. So remember, you don't want your dog getting caught up beforehand. Let's see. Blood Love Bullies said naturally. No, you said something else, I thought. Okay. Not coke. Oh, there you go. Coconut water is A1 for show days. I've actually never thought of that. And that's good. Also, electrolytes, and actually he said it. So naturally occurring electrolytes. Exactly. So just like when your baby gets a fever and you get my mind's going blank right now, but you get those fluids that have electrolytes in them instead of Gatorade or whatever, that's also good for your dog to drink to help him cool off. Armpits, that's another area Betsy said. She also said the inner thighs, that's another one. And okay, Blood Love says water follows sodium. Yes, exactly. Pedialyte, that's what I was trying to think of. Pedialyte is great to bring to a dog show for dogs, and just in case they overheat. I would say, just like we helped the one guy out that we saw struggling with his dog that was overheating, bring it anyway. Even if you know your dog's not going to overheat, bring it anyway so that you can help out other people. I think the guy, like I said, had gotten the best of it before we pulled over to help him. But bring those things not just for your dog, but so you can use them to help out, other people. And that way everybody's good. You know what I'm saying? Because there are going to be people there that are excited and they forget the stuff they would have brought for overheating, or they just don't know any better. And no dog should have to die amongst the presence of dog people. There's no excuse for that because people didn't bring whatever or weren't willing to share whatever. Betsy said the blue kind is the best. I think she's talking about Pedialyte, and I'm not too sure about that, so I'm definitely going to look into that. But Betsy is saying that the blue kind of Pedialyte is the best one to use, and she's probably right. Betsy knows her dogs. So again, be prepared. But like I said, I had a great time at the show. A lot of good people, met a lot of people. I caught a couple people eyeballing me, so I know they probably recognize me from. It's probably somebody whose post didn't get posted in the group because they was violating the rules. But other than that, I had a great time. Is this the last topic? Yeah, last topic. What is a tool, and how did we word it actually in the thing? So what's a tool when it comes to these dogs? And then one of the other things is the lifespan of a tool. We're at 7:20, so I'm going to rush through this real quick. A tool is a dog that is not necessarily for, so let's say you race dogs, or back in the day you had dog fighters or whatever it was. When it came to working breeds, a tool was always a dog that wasn't going to get used for work. They had two purposes. Some of them were to preserve the traits of that bloodline, and you didn't want it working because you didn't want it to get injured or killed. So it was always used to breed out. So typically a tool used to be a dog that was highly line bred, heavy line bred, and inbred. And that dog you knew showed all the traits that you wanted. Might get a little bulkier than you want it, a little shorter than you want it, might even have a little curvature in the arms. You weren't going to use it for work. What you were going to do is it was preserving traits. So you're going to breed it to a dog that was well structured and performing, and you're going to outcross it to that dog. In this bully world, a tool tends to be dogs that, let's see here. Bailey said, Betsy said Bailey is a tool. She also said not a ring dog, but throws ring dogs. There you go. So in the bully world, A tool is a dog that 9 times out of 10 has an extremely big head, extremely boned up, and may have some curvature in the arms, slightly bow-legged, extremely large shoulders. It's all about size in the bully world. The problem that I have with it is the bully world is very much like the rap world. In the 90s, MCs have perfected their craft, but the DJ stopped getting shine because the hype men were there. So you had the MC, the DJ, and then you had the MC's hype man who was on stage. Then all of a sudden, hip hop started getting worse when the hype men decided they didn't want to be hype men anymore. They wanted to rap too. And that's the phase when it comes to bullies. The hype men are getting exposure when they shouldn't be. They should be hitting in the corner of the yard, and they're getting exposure. And now it is becoming acceptable to see these tools. And you also have breeders, and people want them and they think they're cute. When in our group, one of the reasons we're going to be getting more critical about the dogs that are posted is there are dogs that should be nothing more than a tool. They shouldn't exist, in my opinion, but if they're going to exist, they shouldn't be anything more than a tool. And what people do is the smart breeders will see those dogs and say, okay, I got a clean female. I'm going to breed that dog to my clean female. And that way I'm going to get some puppies that fall in between. The problem with that is you're also going to get puppies that resemble that tool, and also going to get puppies that resemble that female. And hopefully you'll get the majority of them that fall in between. The problem I have with Facebook is two things. One, you're seeing these dogs with tore up pasterns, high rears, big, huge lugging heads. They can hardly breathe. People are pushing them off as XLs and they don't even meet the height requirement. And though there's a million people in the comment section saying this dog is terrible, there's still 2 million people clicking heart and like because they don't know any better. They just don't. They see a big sloppy dog. They think that's cute. They don't think about the health of the dog, the lifespan of the dog. So for people who breed dogs like that, you are going to get offended in about 3 seconds. Here's the thing. These idiots will tell you that their dog is happy because they don't realize for over 1,000 years, dogs have been bred to look happy. These people will tell you that these dogs are, and then these idiots will also do a second thing that I don't like, which is they'll have a yard full of what people are calling tools. Well, then at that point, if you got a yard of them, it's not a tool. If I build cabinets, I don't have a house full of hammers. I have one hammer, maybe a couple. But everything else is also nails, wrenches, and guess what the most thing is? The biggest thing is the cabinet. That's what I'm advertising. The bully world now advertises the cabinet and it advertises the hammer. And then people say, I'm going to breed this cabinet to this hammer and hopefully I'm going to get something in between. They're going to get a couple cabinets. They're going to get a couple crosses between the cabinet and the hammer, and then they're also going to get a couple of hammers. And then how do those tools live their life? 90% of these guys calling these dogs tools and breeders going to dogs that they say, oh, well, you may not like him, but he's a great tool. Well, guess what? That dog's fucking life sucks. He can't move. People say, oh, he's functional. It's not functional. You can't grab that spring pole and function while on the spring pole. I seen one dude say his dog was in shape because the dog was terrible, but he was hanging from the spring pole. All that meant is, guess what? He's got good jaws. What about the rest of his body? Because he hung there like a dead fish. Didn't shake, didn't move. You're breeding these dogs so extreme, you can see the stupidity in them. Because of the inbreeding and the dogs that you're breeding them to get what it is you're looking for. There's no reaction in them. You're looking at the camera, they're looking at the camera because you could see stupidity in humans and dogs. I don't care what anybody says, but you could see it in them. These dogs, they're panting and they just stepped out the kennel and they're panting. Every video, every picture is of this dog with his tongue out. The only time they're not panting is when they're eating. These aren't tools. These are catastrophes. Can you breed to them to clean up your dogs, your litter off of them? Yeah, you can. But what happens to those pups that take off after the dog that you call a tool? What happens to them? What happens to them when they hit 3, 5, 8, 9, 10 years old? Because some of the dogs you guys are calling tools, they ain't making it to 8. They're not making it to 6. They're not making it to 5. They're just not going to. And to breed dogs like that lets me know. And I've seen breeders that have bred great dogs. And for whatever reasons, now they're breeding tools because they want to get that stud money. You people are the reason why government is thinking about getting involved in breeding. And they're going to unfortunately start here in Cali first. It's already going on in Europe, to where if your dogs have features that aren't supposed to be on the species, fuck the breed, that aren't supposed to be on the species, then what they're going to be doing is saying, you just broke the law. You bred this crippled dog, you bred this bow-legged dog to this bow-legged dog. That is against the law. California is looking into doing that. California is now has a law. I don't know if it passed it or how it's going to be implemented, but they want to, if you're not a breeder, a licensed breeder, then you need to get your dog spayed. You have to. And the reason they want to do that is so that they can slow down all these people breeding dogs to make a quick buck, because they're just breeding anything to anything and they don't care about how the dog lives when it's 3 to 4 years old. It's panting so it looks happy. It's panting because it can't breathe, you idiots. I don't get it. Why breed dogs and you don't know anything about them? And it's cruel to cause something to exist in a lifespan that is no good for that something, that thing, is crueler than any punishment you can give an animal. And you think it's happy because it looks like it's smiling. Dogs have been our purpose-driven companion species. They look happy because they're looking for a purpose, and they look happy because we bred them to look happy so we can call them companions. We have bred this into them. It came along with purpose because they were looking for purpose. As long as you threw a ball, you did something. As long as you came home, the dog's happy. They're pack animals. They're bred to be this way. If you look at wolves live in a pack and they don't look happy. They're not panting because they're happy and excited to see each other. They grow out of that when they turn adults. Dogs are permanent wolf puppies. That's exactly what they are. They will be a wolf puppy their whole life. A dog doesn't act like a 2 or 3 year old wolf till a dog is like in 10 to 12 years old, 8 years old, depending on how fast it ages. So we have bred these things to be permanent puppies, permanent wolf puppies. Puppies always look happy because they haven't learned much. People who don't know much can't do much, and they're easy to please. That is our dogs. But we're breeding out the intelligence factor. We're breeding out we think a cool temperament is a dog that hasn't killed a baby. My cousin and I, when we first got into bullies and we saw the path it was headed, the first thing we said is our number one rule has to be that a dog that won't protect its family is just as bad as a dog that won't bite its family. Now, if I take 2 steps back, do I agree with that? No, but we breed that way. It is our number one rule because we don't want to fall into that trap of breeding dumb dogs. And a lot of these dogs aren't aggressive and aren't driven because they're dumb. Again, dogs are a purpose-driven companion species. The 3 main words in that is purpose, drive, companion. Every dog from the Yorkie is looking for a purpose. When it gets 6 to 12 months, it learns that you're not going to provide it a purpose, and it adjusts to that. Okay? But when it comes out and it hits 8 weeks old, it's forming the desire to look for a purpose. And like I said, when it hits 6 to 12 months, the first thing it's going to learn is I belong to someone that doesn't provide what I'm looking for. And it's going to adjust, but it's my bad. I had a call come through real quick. You can't think your dog looks happy because it's panting and its mouth is open. That doesn't mean it's happy. Your dog coming out the kennel and is just breathing, panting, that doesn't mean it's happy. It means your dog has a hard time just breathing normally. A dog's, what's going on, my neck? Okay, there we go. Somebody's calling me right now. My bad, y'all. A dog, when it's running, should be able should not be using its front legs as stilts, as crutches to prevent its head and chest from hitting the ground. It should be using its front legs to reach, grab dirt, and pull. Okay, that's what a dog is doing with its front legs. A lot of these dogs are bred so short-legged that they're pushing with their hind legs, and then their front legs, all it is crutches to prevent their head and face from hitting the ground. They get over the crutch, then their hind legs come back in and they push. Your dog need to be okay. I'm getting a text from somebody asking me about nutrition. That's one of my homies. So I get dog questions all day, Facebook, telephone, it's all day. But your dog shouldn't be using his front legs as crutches. And a lot of people don't know how a dog should run. So when they look at a dog, and I broke that down in the group once in a post, and I'll try to find it and bring it back up. But your dog should be reaching out. Your dog should have 2 points when it's running full speed that it's not, well, no, 1 point when it's not on the ground. And that's when it's fully extended. If your dog's front legs are hitting the ground as soon as possible, then his front legs serve one purpose, and that means they're too short or they're not built correctly. And all he's doing is using his front legs to prevent his front end from hitting the ground. And that's it. And the rest of it is about getting over those front legs and pushing off again with the back legs. The bulldog is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So we have to be cognizant of the dogs that we are breeding and what a dog is supposed to be, not just as a breed, but also as a species. Let's see here. Betsy said, just caught my ding dong barking at themselves in the mirror. It's behind the chest drawer. Or his muffled barking. Who is this? Let me see if I can find your name on the other page. DeAndre, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. See, I'm not seeing all the comments again. She said, yeah, I had someone ask me how I separate them to information. I think I caught that. Yeah, DeAndre, thanks for joining in. See, now for some reason it's not showing the comments. So I'm going to jump around and try to make sure I'm catching them. Adrian James, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining in. Adrian said, hey, great meeting you. Take his call, so I'm going to hit him in a second because he's probably at the store right now looking for what to buy. But yeah, thanks. And hey, Adrian, am I back on? Looks like I'm back on. I think you guys can hear me, but for some reason it's not showing me. But Adrian, yeah, dude, dog looks great, man. Dog looks real good. I think I'm being heard. If I'm not, put it in the notes. I noticed the screen went off, and that's because the call is messing up my phone. But again, we got to do better. And we can't label every messed up dog as a tool. And there's a lot of good looking American bullies out there, XLs and of every class that have the bone. Okay, cool. So it looks like my face disappeared, but they have the bone. They have the substance that we need without supporting someone who is breeding crippled dogs. There's just no need for it. To me, it's starting over, but planning to hopefully end at part one. But again, you can't breed for that 1 to 3 puppies. You have to breed based off of your whole litter. The breedings that we have done are the litter's consistent. There's variations within it, but overall the litters are consistent. So we can take them to the screen door is open. So we could take them to other dogs and produce what it is we need to produce and what it is we expect to produce. So you know, when you see these messed up dogs, you got a dog that's skinny and you want to add some bone, don't go running to some boned up, big head, sloppy, can't breathe dog, because guess what? Those pups that you get off of him, they have to have a life also. And some of those pups, what you're thinking is, I'm going to pick the best pup or the best 3 pups. But what about the worst pup? Who speaks in behalf of that pup? Because a lot of y'all ain't culling dogs. You ain't got the stomach for it. So what you're going to end up doing is selling him to somebody that doesn't breed, and you're going to say, "Oh, I culled that dog." What do they call it? A soft cull. I had never heard of that until I got into the bully world. But you're going to say, "Oh, I soft culled that dog," which means they neutered the dog and then gave it to somebody. But that dog still has a life that it's got to live, and you all you did was neuter it. It's still suffering. It still can't breathe. It still can't do the things that its mind and genetics as the species that it's a part of want to do. So I'm going to close out with that. But your tool should not be promoted and advertised. And you should not be breeding a yard full of tools. If you have a tool, that dog should still be well structured and well built. It just isn't exactly what you want to go for. That's what a tool is supposed to be. Now these tools are broken hammers, and we're trying to end up with a nice cabinet, and we're promoting the tools like they're cabinets. The broken hammers like they're cabinets. That's terrible. And then we want to breed this beautiful cabinet that we're hoping to get to this. We want to use this in this broken hammer, and it's terrible. We have to stop doing that. The bully community has to get out of that phase. And a lot of it is unfortunately promoted through the internet and through ignorance. Other than that, we're going to close out so I can call back my guy that's hitting me up for some advice on feeding. And because I'm assuming, by the way, he's hitting me up, that he's at the store or something now. So I'm going to go ahead and log off of here. Again, make sure every Tuesday we do Dog Talk Tuesdays. Mondays, we go live with Fred Duran. Who got 2 grand champions under his wing. Tuesdays we do the Dog Talk Live, which we're doing today, and you get to pick the topics. Wednesdays we go live with Danny Cervantes, owner of Grand Champion Bully, Champion He-Man. With Second and None Bully, so he should be going live tomorrow. He may not, because it has been a long weekend for a lot of us with these dogs. And then Friday, we will be back with the marketing and promotion series with Andre Smith from BGK and Robert McCormick from KTK Bullies. And we will be discussing, I think this is the 5th part of the series. So I'm thinking this is websites is what we're going to be discussing. And other than that, again, make sure to stay tuned. Join the Giant American Bully Group. Share it to your friends. Invite them to the group, the Giant XL American Bully Group. Also, make sure you follow us on Thrower Bullies on Instagram and also Thrower Bullies on Facebook. And we are out. And last but not least, again, I did kind of rush it. This went, what, an hour and 40 minutes over than what it should have. But make sure that, you know, if you do have questions, you can always hit me up. It might take me a while to get to you, but I will get to you eventually. And you can also repost them in the next Tuesday's live, and I'll retouch up on whatever it is you want to discuss. Other than that, thanks for joining in, and we out.